All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is February 28th, 2025. This is the BYOB Market Wrap Up with me, John Carrigan. Let's take a look at some charts today. First chart we'll look at, SPY. So, SPY, game plan on the southern direction. Take a look at that. This was our short. We only had a spike down in the morning and then a follow through later in the afternoon. Never quite got to the destination, kind of indicating the bulls were in charge, and the bulls ripped it all the way back up to the pivot, up over the prior day's all-time high, the prior day's high anchored VWAP, into the pivot and all the way up to the green erases red up there. So we'll see what happens with that. So price action for today, big green candle, that's what it looks like. Let's see what we got. 10-minute uptrend. We got a 2-hour. Let's take a look at the 2-hour. Got a 2-hour uptrend going on a daily. On the daily chart, we got a lower high and a lower low, finishing inside the bullish trap, bearish trap, underneath the falling 17, and underneath this this all-time high anchored VWAP right here. So there's the all-time high anchored VWAP, is that teal line right there. So lower high, lower low, closing inside the bearish trap under the 17. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP down here in quadrant 3, but in the upper third. That's still bullish. SPY, take a look at that. That's still kind of zoom out here on the scratch. What happened to the let's put the quad lines in. All right. SPY still bullish here, right there for SPY. Let's take a look at what do we want to look at? Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow got a let's see what got a lower low, that's for sure. For the high we got 438.75. For the high we got 438.82, 438.75. So we got an outside day on the Diamond Dow. It's a higher high and a lower low, closing underneath, closing above a bearish trap, but underneath the falling 17 and over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so kind of expanding volatility there, consistently putting in outside and outside days. So there's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at IWM. All right, on IWM, got a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. Price action, just kind of neutral right here. They keep going up and giving it up. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. Price action for FNGU is a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap underneath the 17, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's FNGU. Let's take a peek at what do we want to look at next? Technicals. All right, technicals. Looks like we put in a higher low here. All right, just barely squeaked out a higher low in the sell zone, and then a rip back to the midpoint. So this is some really wild price action that we're experiencing here. So a rip right back to the midpoint, right through the seller's chop zone. What a rip into the end of the day, kind of indicating there may be a buying program happening on the first of the month. All right, that's what it's looking like to me. There's T21.22. Let's take a look at T21.23. T21.23 red from the beginning of the day with a gap down and the bulls filled the gap. All right, so gap down and then a rally into the end of the day there on T2123, still underneath this falling 200 SMA. Let's take a look at it on the 3-bar chart. Still 3 more red candle bars after touching this prior all-time high, looking like we got a bounce actually. Nice rip back up. I don't know if we're going to continue with that all the way up to this area right here, which would be the falling 17 EMA. So it's price action underneath this 200 SMA right now. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. FNGU selling from the beginning of the day. Near the end of the day, then we had a rally up over VWAP and then some rip right up over that, coming back up to, looks like it's headed back up to the downtrend line into the upper third. So there's price action for FNGU, trying to get back up there to the falling 200 SMA, maybe test that. All right, so there's FNGU. Let's take a look at a few sectors. First sector we'll take a look at is SMH. All right, SMH on the daily chart. Lower high, lower low, closing under the trap. Underneath this, it's underneath the midpoint, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still neutral here for SMH, almost breaking into the lower third. So kind of on the bearish side of neutral. Let's take a look at XLK. XLK, lower high, lower low, closing under a trap, under the 17, under all-time high anchored VWAP, under a prior all-time high anchored VWAP. In the upper third still, so still bullish right there, XLK. Let's take a look at XLE. Here's Energy. Energy putting in a nice green candle today. Outside day, lower low, higher high, closing inside actually above a bearish trap, over the 17, over a downtrend line, and over the midpoint. So there's price action for XLE. Not a bad day for XLE. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, over the rising 17, and over the 12-month high anchored VWAP up here in quadrant 4. That's still bullish for UNG. Let's take a look at USO. USO got a lower high, lower low, closing inside a bearish trap under a falling 17. Price action is just neutral. So neutral on USO still. Up over this 3-year high anchored VWAP. Price action for USO on the daily chart. Just neutral right there. Let's take a look at GLD. Gold got a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17, over a prior all-time high anchored VWAP up in quadrant 4. That's still bullish. SLV, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under this falling 17, under this 12-year high anchored VWAP. Just neutral on silver. They were bullish. Couldn't quite hold the higher ground there on bullish on that. Let's take a look at XLF. XLF doing wonders today. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. I think they put in a new all-time high. High today, 52.26, 52.25. New all-time high for XLF in this bull flag up here in quadrant 4. XLF just really racking it up today. Let's take a look at IYT. Transports, lower high, inside day, lower high, higher low, closing inside bearish trap underneath the 17, underneath this all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so that's it for today, traders. We will take a look at everything else later on. That's it for me. Totally a tough day, really tough day on SPY. Must have been up and over the 8 EMA 5 or 6 times. You can see here's price action starting. Price came up, was under it, and then make sure I got the right day. Yeah, comes up under it, and it's over it on over the 8, under the 8, over the 8, under the 8, over the 8, under the 8, back over the 8, under the 8, over the 8 finally. So there you go. All right, that's it for me today, traders. All right, thanks. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys all on Monday at 8 o'clock. Look forward to it. All right.